Hi my YouTube family, welcome on set today. The topic of today is time robbery on the new series of My Truth, which is currently based on gender-based violence or violation. Now, as we start, I want to start with a few statements. And remember, the topic is time robbery. I've come to realize in any gender-based violation, and also after the marriage is over, people don't get to really understand in depth how much time means. All the time, let me just use the word, the time wasted. Because kindly remember that when any party was getting into the union of marriage, no one was thinking of an exit. No one was thinking that I will get into 1, 2, 3 kind of marriages. Everyone is getting into the union of marriage to settle, to build a home, to grow old together, and at least like to have a solid foundation that will be able to carry their children, their children's children, their children's children's children. So whenever you realize that you got married into a narcissistic partner, or you got married into an abuser, let me put it that way, and this marriage will not work anymore, you realize by the time you're coming out of this union, you have wasted one of the most important aspects, for lack of a better word, in your life. Because as we continue, you realize how important time is, right? So I will start with robbery of time. And as I said, time robbery is the title of our topic. And I will not start with me as an individual or me as a woman, because remember when I said my truth segment, which is based on gender-based violation, I will base everything with myself, because the only way I can teach you, the only way I can highlight the key things that are ignored in this setup can only be founded from what I personally experienced, how I felt. Because unless you put on that shoe, you cannot be able to explain it better. The only person who can clearly tell you in depth and in details is the person who have walked in that shoe, right? Now, time robbery. So I will start with what I feel, but I think we are going to have another segment and I will involve my daughter in it. But now, because she's currently in school, let me start off by some of the things I saw as a mother that she was deprived of in this union of marriage, and especially in this topic of today, time robbery. So I felt I start with what I felt and what actually hurts me to this day, what makes me really work so hard to make sure that this will never happen again, not only to her, but to other children, right? So time robbery. During the growing up of my daughter, remember I'm in the abusive union of marriage. Remember my daughter didn't have much of freedom, because when you wake up to realize that your parents are not okay, you thought that your father and mother love each other, but what you live to see is a lot of animosity, hatred, battering, and many other things. Remember this particular child, and in this case is my daughter, her time is greatly robbed. Remember, her childhood is taken away, because I learned at a tender age that my daughter became more mature than her age. She never got to enjoy her childhood. She never lived to behave like a child in whatever particular age she found herself in. Every single time in her growing up, she had to carry herself as an adult. And I know some of you have watched her video where she said that she needed even to advise the father. Now you'll understand what I'm talking about. These things I realized at a very tender age. Instead of my daughter going and even behaving like a baby, dirtifying her clothes, playing in the mud, or going to school and coming back all dirty or something. This is a very small child from kindergarten who is always uptight. This is a child who comes home cleaner than she went, you know. This is a child who, if at all anything happens, she loses her socks, or maybe they changed into their sportswear and something happened that is missing, or a sweater or something because they removed, she will come so panicky and so worried, and she will not even want the dad to know you're getting. So there is loss of time of her childhood. I will not deny that some of the times we would try to give her that thing, that time for her to enjoy as a child. Like when we are coming from church, make sure that we take her to a place where she can do jumping castle and all. But if you are to come and sit and count how many times we did that for her, they are counted. I remember that my daughter keeps on reminding me the only time I was really happy that I had time, or I spent time with my dad, is when she took me. She still has that photo when my dad took me to Uhuru Park, and we went boat riding in Uhuru Park, and my dad bought me bread. And he dug a hole in the middle. You remember how our time, we would, when we are going for music festivals or something in primary school, in high school, our time, for those who can relate, we would buy, we would call it a monudu, a bread, half bread. There are those breads you can, either it can be cut half, or you buy those small bread, the half breads. And then now you cut in the middle, you buy the soda and you pour it inside. So the dad did that. And it was so, look at it, as simple as so many would just think, what is that? Is that something to make a child happy? But that is one of the most memorable moments that my daughter recalls enjoying with the dad. So Uhuru Park, taking a boat ride, buying a bread, monudu, and buying soda and pouring it in between and eating that bread, and trying to show her how they used to enjoy. Those were their fun times during their time. So my daughter really my daughter didn't enjoy the monudu maybe and the bread and pouring, but that moment spent with the father. How many were they? I can tell you they are less than 2. They are less than 3, if I may say. You know? So can you see how much as parents, and this one I'm addressing the abusive parents in both divides. It can be a mother who is abusive in the union of marriage, or the father, in most cases fathers. Can you see how much time you rob off the child, you know, the childhood of your children, the time that your children needed to spend with you, to spend with the family, going out as a mother and a father, taking your children to a place where they can enjoy. Not even that. You don't even need to spend money. Coming from work at home, calling your wife and telling her, prepare something nice. Today we are going to have a family time. Today is Friday. We can have a movie time at home with the children because we don't have money. Because I don't believe really per se money is the only thing that can make a family happy. There are many ways of making that memorable times with your family. Okay, so those are times that were robbed off, stripped off from my daughter. You understand? They never got time to really spend, because the much of the time now, for me, she doesn't even count how many times you have spent with her, because we were always with her, especially over the weekend, coming, joining me in the office. After office, I take her for a movie, or I do something for her. You know, even if we don't have money, I will still have that 500 to buy her something to enjoy. Even if we don't have money, I will take her. I will make sure that after office we stroll in a shopping mall, or even in a supermarket, even if we are buying basic things, but we are together chatting, laughing, spending that time together, right? Okay. The time that was robbed of my daughter's childhood, her childhood was robbed of. Now, fast forward again, the time her teenage was robbed of. Why? During the most period, actually all the time of her teenagehood is when now she lived to witness all the little that you know now that is out there. The story that I've given, what I went through when I was beaten, when we are driving home from picking her from school and I've been picked from work and he has forced himself, I cannot pick my daughter, we have to use one vehicle even if we have 2 or 3, but now we have to use my car because I wanted to drive my car, I wanted to drop my daughter, I wanted to take myself to work, and it's a no-no. So he has to drop me, we have to drop our daughter in the morning, drop me in the office and go with the car wherever he wants to go with the car. Come and pick me, we go pick our daughter. But now, some of the things you may not know, she lived through hell every time we picked her from school, because those are some of the many times she witnessed me being kicked out of a moving vehicle. We are in Thika Road, the vehicle is moving, somebody has decided to bring up his demons, and he's even strapping me off, and he's driving, remember, so sometimes the car is going zigzag, and he opens the door, and he's trying to push me out of the vehicle. Many are the times she witnessed me holding on the belt, the safety belt, so that I'm not thrown out of a moving vehicle. Many a times he saw passerbys screaming what is going on because the door is open and we are on the highway, and he's not driving 50 kilometers per hour. Sometimes he's 70 because he's behaving like he's drunk. So he's pushing me out, hitting me on the head. When I close the door now, he will bang my head on the door. The much my daughter can do is scream, "Dad, stop, Dad, stop," until now she screams until almost losing her voice. That's when he would stop. So these are many of the occurrences that she lived to witness during her teenagehood. Remember when she was young, as early as in kindergarten, class 1, 2, 3, she started noticing that the father is beating me. She started noticing that the father can use anyahunyo on me. She started noticing that despite how much then the father is trying to hide his beatings, he would lock me in the bedroom and beat me up. My daughter would run and even try to get a knife to get the house girl to go and help the mother. So that is her childhood. Now we are in teenagehood. Everything is full blown. The father is no longer hiding his animosity towards me. Remember, this is a daughter who is trying to understand, what has mom done to you? There is nothing. Because sometimes we are together. The father would just storm in and start fighting. So there was no phone conversation, there was no meetup, there was nothing the mother did. When he left, everything was okay. But when you come back, you're a monster. So this is a period in her teenagehood. She's trying to figure out what is really happening. Is marriages all like this? This is the time she joins high school and she realizes now she's having conversations with her fellow schoolmates, and some of the schoolmates are saying, yes, even my dad is like this, but not as much as what she's witnessing at home. Right? So her teenagehood was robbed. Her trying to think on ways on how to fix things. So during her teenage period, she's not enjoying her teenagehood as any other teenager would. She's thinking of ways and means on how she can resolve matters. She can fix things. She can cancel the father. She can try to educate the father. She can try even to tell her mother, like she would tell me, Mom, You are giving yourself too much to dad. That is why he's abusing you. He's taking advantage of this. What she's not realizing, you're still a teenager. There are still some things I'm hiding and keeping away from you, waiting until you reach a particular age so that I can be able to begin to tell you, this is the steps I try to do. This is why we have been here. This is why we cannot live like this, you know. Yes. This is what happens in a gender-based violence family towards children, robbing off their childhood, robbing off their teenagehood, and now even sometimes their adulthood. I will give you a simple case, a simple talk, because for me, I don't want to say much about my daughter. I want to say just a little bit of what I've witnessed. I saw much, and most of it was beyond me. Some of it I would try to shield, but I can only say a little bit. But I would prefer her speaking out so that she can be able to enlighten even children of her time or her childhood, how it was, to be able to help another child in her teenagehood, to be able to help another teenager in her youth stage now, you see. But now, fast forward, I am divorced, and everybody is telling us, now focus, move forward. Are we really made to focus and move forward? I will give you as early, as latest as even last year. You will tend to think now she's okay, she's in school, all things are good, the divorce has happened, she's settled, her mother, she can sleep easy knowing that her mother is okay. But look at it this way. As early as last year, and remember, we are divorced now. Remember, there are court orders. There's a court order as well in place. Yeah? And harassments have not yet subsided. They subside for a while, then somebody shows up with a different thing. Now, this particular one, it was for her. I had not told her what was happening at home. She was in school. And anyway, it's not something that I cannot handle now. But now, he starts calling my daughter in the middle of the night, and he's behaving like he's drunk. So he's not calling during the day, because somebody might say that, oh, he's the father, he has a right to call and check on the daughter. Remember, this is a daughter who you took all her education investment. This is a daughter, you say it is not necessary, it's not necessary for her to study. Now, from somewhere, you have realized that she's still studying. She's okay now, she's in school. And now you wake up as a grown-up adult, a parent for that matter, for this particular child. This is your child. And you decide in the middle of the night, from midnight, you will start calling her, knowing very well she's in school and she's sleeping. Midnight, you start calling her, until she gets tired, maybe she picks the calls. So unfortunately for you, she did not pick calls, but she started panicking. Remember, everybody is telling us, forget and move on. This is a healing child. So she starts panicking. She starts wondering, if he's doing this when I'm in school, how bad, what has he done to my mom? Because he knows first he will strike on my side before he even thinks of attempting to go to her. So my daughter calls me and tells me, Mom, I want to come home urgently. And I'm like, what is it? Is school okay? Is everything, Mom? Everything is okay. But on Friday, I want to come home. So the baby comes. And she tells me, let's not sleep. Because we really, when she comes home after a while, we have to like chat. She sleeps in my bed. So we have all these conversations, catching up about boys, about school, about everything, you know. I still want her to be the baby she is, even if now she's in her early adulthood. She's still my baby, remember. So this time she has not disclosed why she's coming home, and she doesn't even want to show me she's panicking. But at the same time, she's coming home to really find out whether Mom is okay. So she comes home, and at night she tells me, Mom, there's a phone call we're expecting. You wait until the phone comes. So what time? Midnight. What is going on, Zoe? You'll see, Mom. So midnight, the phone calls come. And for sure, it is the father calling. He's not calling during the day to check up on the daughter. He's calling past midnight. So he calls. Then I decide, bring that phone. So I pick and I ask, why are you calling her at this time? And the guy is like, I want to speak to Zoe. And you can hear his tongue is dragging, so it means he's even drunk. I want to talk to her. And I told him, this is my line. Do not call her again. And especially this hour, do not call her. So I had to really become tough. Do not call this number again. Of course, this is not the first time we have changed her line because of harassment. Harassment. Not phone calls. Not a father phone call to her daughter. Harassment. Harassment when you know that your child now is achieving what you vowed she would not achieve. Your own daughter. So now, this is her early adulthood. Remember childhood, teenagehood, and now is adulthood. This is her early adulthood. This is the time I want my daughter to enjoy her youth. You might have failed the last two. I want you to enjoy your youthfulness. I want you to go out if you need to go out without looking over your shoulder. I want you to have fun with your fellow schoolmates. I want you to be happy. I want us, when you are communicating, you're telling me, oh, this cute guy I saw. Oh, this guy who is calling me, we go out for a movie. Oh, we hang out with my girlfriends. We are doing this and that. And you're not thinking about any sort of trauma. But when this phone call starts coming, what are you telling my daughter? To go back to the dark days, to go back to the traumas of yesterday. So you will not give us peace. And especially when you know that she is happy. She is not supposed to be happy. Right? Lost time. The question is, remember the topic of today, and it is in my truth on violations, gender-based violations. Time robbery. When will she ever recover that time? You will say, oh, we pray, you know, God is a restorer. No. And we will go through some scriptures for you to understand why I'm telling you. We should stop hiding behind religion. We should stop hiding in traditions. When it comes to gender violations, let it be violation and let it be dealt with in accordance to the law if there is any existing law that can aid us. Right? So it's not a matter of let's pray. And I strongly believe, and I have taught this in the past, the day I prayed, God heard. The day I prayed, God answered. Remember, we are not in the Old Testament. We are in the New Testament, in the new dispensation. When Christ has come and died, resurrected, seated, meaning he has finished the works. That is a nutshell of time wasted for my daughter. Howbeit, time wasted for me. I got married to settle down, build a home, retire, build a grand foundation for my child or children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and going ahead. No one wanted to be in a union of marriage or made a choice to get married to get out. Time wasted. Time wasted in the choice I made. Time wasted in the properties I accrued. And now I said, oh, now we are headed to retirement. Time wasted that now I will wake up to start life again, which is not easy during this time. Remember past COVID? Remember the economy of the world, leave alone Kenyan economy, how it is right now, right? Time wasted. Time wasted, your age. I got married at the age of 20, 22, yes, 23. I was still at 20s. Now I'm in my 40s. Time wasted that you're telling me now I need to start life again as a woman. Because remember, even at this age, who wants to get old alone? Time wasted. When we start talking of time wastage, and I said in this particular topic, let us leave religion out of it. Let us leave traditions out of it. Why is it important that we need to bring to light that indeed in gender violence, after gender violations, we need to find ways and solutions on stopping the continuity of robbing people's time, especially robbing the victims their time. It was enough to rob them their time when they were in the union of marriage, when those children were still with their mother and father in that abusive family. When a wife persevered in that union of marriage, it was enough you robbed them time, the abuser now we are addressing. It is also now not fair. And something needs to happen to put to an end that after the union of marriage, the abuser needs to be stopped at all costs in this Republic of Kenya from pursuing the abused. This continues to happen in broad daylight, and whenever you go to report, you are told we cannot still see any criminalities. We cannot still see how we are going to arrest this person. We cannot still see how to go about it. Phone calls will be called, but they did not abuse. They did not assault. But they said, I'm taking somebody to court for something. It's still not enough. Calling a child in the middle of the night, it's still not enough. Attempts of even 1 minute, I'll give you a very good example, which happened just recently. First, you all know that I'm aggressively marketing my company online. My company is Kingdom World Power Limited, because the location is not accessible, right? So the much I can do is market online aggressively. So somebody wakes up to stop you in your tracks, right? And they start asking for friendly requests in all your social media platforms, especially the company. The one that you're aggressively trying to resurrect yourself again as a result of him. Friendly request. What is that friendly request supposed to be telling you? I am still existing. I'm still alive. There is nothing you can do to me. So that one, you cannot take him anywhere because he has not violated any Kenyan law. Step number 2, as my daughter and myself, we will tell you because we know how it goes. Step number 2 will be either phone calls will follow. Which phone calls did come? Because the last phone call made me start running back to DCI. The last phone call made me start looking for legal aid and help before they strike. Because the phone call was a pure threat that we are coming after the only property now you still have. Right? And we are actually taking you to court. Right? In this period when I am still trying to work so hard to make ends meet, when I'm still getting aid and help from a few friends who I call upon when the things get tough, right? So the next thing that follows is the friendly request. Your phone again starts slowing down, of which that one is a bit covered, because from the last hack that crashed my phone the third time, I've not experienced so much of drama. But of course, text will come. You'll see WhatsApp messages that are coming from the same person, but you're being surveyed. One of the newest one was after the friendly request, you're seeing somebody has created an email under your company's name. Remember, I'm the only one in that company. I'm the only one who is supposed to be sending emails. But now they are trying to show you that we can actually hack your company's email and there's nothing you can do about. And somebody is actually sending an email everywhere to recruit people for my company. And guess what? They will copy you in that email for you to know this is what we are doing. After the friendly request, this follows. After that follows, the phone calls will follow. After that follows, you know, even if you report, nobody can see any damage or harm or anywhere Sharia legal help should come in. Ignore. So sentiments like ignore, move on will come. Remember, ignore, move on got me where I am today financially. Bankrupt. Starting life again. Losing everything. Because everything came like a joke. Then the viper struck. Then there goes the repercussions. The time I spent starting running to DCI offices, looking for legal counsel and aid from everywhere, was the day I was supposed to be seated in my office, trying to market, trying to look for clients, trying to prepare for even what I should be teaching in my next YouTube channel, getting ready. Even though sometimes I need that time to haga meditate for God to tell me, lead me to what I need to teach. I don't have that time. I don't even have that peaceful time yet. That is the time now my blood pressure will shoot up again and migraine starts. When you're trying to recover, remember my previous teaching on how to get away with murder. So I'm still recovering from stress-related diseases. You're trying now to recall them back. Yet, I'm divorced. Yet, I'm supposed to be moving on. Yet, I'm not supposed to be looking back. So this is my truth after divorce on gender violations. Still going on, still very active, but we can still get the abuser, even after the divorce, even after robbing me of dry, robbing of our time. The topic of today is robbing of our time. When I'm still at it thinking it's only on me, it goes to my daughter. Oh, friendly request. Because now I can no longer be gotten on the phone calls, the midnight phone calls, because the last ones were midnight. Now is friendly requests to be able to follow through what you are doing, your achievements, which you are not supposed to be achieving. It is harmless. We cannot take you to any court because of that. So we need to just live being reminded by the culprit, by the abuser, that I'm still there and I can still do whatever I feel like doing to you people. Okay, now I will take you to some few scriptures for us to really understand why it is important not to allow, to do everything possible to put to an end to these violations of time wasted. I will take you to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 and I'll read King James. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. I will read MSG, the same, Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is an opportune time to do things, a right time for everything on the earth. Go back to what we have just discussed. Take the case of my daughter. There was an opportune time for her growing up as a child. Her childhood was taken. She will not be taken back to become a child again to be able to redeem that. She became a teenager. Her teenagehood time was robbed. She will not need to become a teenager again to enjoy that teenage time and whatever she needed to be as a teenager during that time. Now she's in her early youthful adulthood. And still, we are telling her there is nothing we can do. Her mother has escaped. Her mother is now single. She's divorced. There are court orders. There's a court order barring this culprit from coming anywhere near us. But legally, the method he is using cannot warrant arrest. Right? So I and my daughter and any other violated woman will live to see this kind of time robbery. And there is nothing we can do about it. But there is something that I can do about it. I can create awareness and I can speak about them. I can try to make someone understand what it means to rob time of somebody. There's an opportune time to do things, the right time for everything on the earth. That is what the truth, the word of God is telling us. That there is time for everything under the sun. When that time passes, it is gone and gone forever. So the time we are coming to console each other, for lack of a better word, I don't know what to say. When you tell somebody, it's okay, we'll pray. You know, God will redeem your time. Yes, time can be redeemed by God because He's the creator. But remember, I am giving you a practical example. You cannot restore back my daughter's childhood. You cannot restore her teenagehood. You cannot restore me back to the time I had invested to my retirement, and I'm starting again. There is an opportune time to do things, a right time for everything on the earth. Ecclesiastes 3:1 MSG. I'll again take you to Amplified Version of the same Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a season, a time appointed for everything, and a time for every delight, an event or purpose under heaven. Now, is it clear? Now, do you clearly understand what it does to a person when you rob off one's time because of gender violations? There is a season, a time appointed. So even now, there was a time appointed for me to be seated here before the cameras and teach and speak and enlighten you on what we are discussing today. So if something happened, if these phone calls came, if these threats came, if these things came again, and now I have to stop what I'm doing to go and address that matter because it's urgent. What happened? The time appointed that I needed maybe to save somebody through knowledge of what I was to teach has been taken. So it's not only my time that is being robbed, but also the time of what was supposed to be done to cause an effect to somebody else. It has also been robbed off. So can you now begin to see that this is one of the mass robbery that continues to happen while we watch? And we continue to say there is nothing we can do about it. And damage continues. Damaging young lives, damaging adults' lives. My life was damaged, almost to ruin, you know. I'll now take you to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16, and I'll read King James. Redeem the time because the days are evil. The Bible is telling us to redeem the time. And here we are allowing a time destroyer, a time delayer, a time, I don't even know what else to say, a time robber to come. Yet the Bible is telling us very clearly, redeem the time because the days are evil. I will take you to the Amplified Version, the same, Ephesians 5:16. Making the very most of your time on earth, recognizing and taking advantage of each opportunity and using it with wisdom and diligence, because the days are filled with evil. Again, I will take you to the MSG. Don't waste your time on useless work, mere busy work, the barren pursuits of darkness. Expose those things for the sham they are. It's a scandal, thank God, because this is what I'm doing. It's a scandal when people waste their lives on things they must do in the darkness, where no one will see. Rip the cover off those frauds and see how attractive they look in the light of Christ. Wake up from your sleep. This is what I'm saying. Wake up from your sleep. Climb out of your coffins. Remember, some of us had been put in a coffin and even the nails driven into them. Christ will show you the light. So watch your step. Use your head. Make the most of every chance you get. These are desperate times. As I sit here today, and when this topic came in my mind, and I started recounting how much time has been wasted, how much I have been robbed of my time. And when you look back, there's so much that needed to happen in those appointed times, as the scriptures are telling us. But those things never occurred. Maybe those things could have aided, could have saved somebody, could have rescued somebody, could have delivered somebody. Maybe the things that needed to have occurred could have even saved a life. And maybe, God forbid, a life was lost by virtue of not doing whatever needed to be done in that particular time, because a time robber in the name of gender violation occurred. Right? Destinies are being ruined. Destinies are being robbed. Destinies are being destroyed. Destinies are being killed as a result of gender violations. And we still continue to play around the law on how that the law is not covering all what needs to be covered to be able to save them who are still being destroyed or being robbed of their time, or even to save those who have managed to escape this web of time robbery in the name of gender violations. And still, even when they escape, they are still being pursued and followed by the same abusers. And still, when you try to look for a way out, every door you knock, in line especially with the law, those doors have no solutions. And by the end of the day, you are being told, this person is very crafty. You can see the way he's doing it. There is nowhere the law can get him. Right? So these victims continue to suffer even when they believe that they have escaped the violations. So today, as I wind up, I would like to bring into your attention, to bring into your understanding, to be a voice out there, to be a wake-up call to each and every one of us, to think through on how best we can attempt or try to eradicate these violators and robbers of time. And most importantly, through the law. How can we stop these violations? Continuation of these violations, even when one has escaped the violation through the legal systems, right? You will wake up today and say, I'm divorced, but I'm still being pursued. I'm divorced, I'm still being harassed. I'm divorced, now they are coming to take off every property I own. I am divorced, but they are still harassing the children. Right? So let us wake up. As the last scripture has said, let us wake up from the slumber. Wake up from our sleep. Climb out of our coffins, those who are still in the coffins. Christ will show us the light. The light has already started shining. I have begun this discussion. I will follow through on this discussion. I will try my level best to try and bring light out of what it really means. Because even after divorce, what happens? What is still happening? Are these atrocities still occurring? Violation of time, robbery of our time. What does it mean when we start saying we have been robbed of time? It is not a joke. You have lost more than you can even begin to imagine when you start talking about time robbery. And this is what I wanted to start bringing it out there. That this needs to stop. And especially for those who have made it out of the abuse. This needs to be put to an end. Keep supporting us. Keep really supporting us. And for those who are supporting us, we really do appreciate, and we are humbled and very grateful. Keep watching. Keep liking. Keep commenting. We are encouraged by your comments. Keep subscribing for the new family that has joined us. We love you and we appreciate you, and we are humbled to even being able to choose our platform. And if this discussion is, helping you, you have learned something, you are blessed by it, you have learned something, you are encouraged, you know now how to do something differently, kindly share. And until next time, see you on the next set. And God's blessings.